right, the YouTube stream is getting set up. Just 1 second.
Oh, it says it's now streaming live on YouTube.
Yep, you're good now.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. You are at Manhattan Community Board 6, the executive meeting, committee meeting for September 16th, 2020. I'm Molly Hollister, chair of the board, and joining me, and the meeting starting at 6:32. Joining us tonight are District Manager Jesus Perez, Assistant District Manager Cody Osterman, and do we have members of the public joining us tonight?
We have one member of the public who also happens just to be a board member as well. It's Paige.
Okay, hi Paige. All right, I think everyone knows how to use Zoom. Raise your hand if you have questions. We, try to keep yourself on mute if you don't. And we have Seema Shah, secretary, taking minutes. And Seema, if you want to take attendance now.
Yes, sounds good. If you're here, just let me know by stating that you're present. That'd be great. Kyle? All right, don't hear Kyle. Asia?
Here.
Thanks. Beatrice?
Here.
Great. Molly?
Here.
John Keller?
Here.
Kavitha Matthew?
Here.
Claire Brennan?
Here.
Adam Hartke?
Here.
Corinne Vanderdonk?
Here.
Brian Van Nieuwenhoven?
Present.
Oops. Pamela Vassell?
She was on, but she just stepped away for a moment. Oh, she's there. Her living room is there.
Okay. I'll mark her as here. Claude?
Present.
And Rick?
Here.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Seema. All right.
And, excuse me, this is Rich Mintz. I'm also here. You should mark me down. I'm going to start coming at Karen's request.
Great. Okay. All right. So, and then Cody, if you can pop up the agenda. I don't have my second screen open, so maybe you already have it up. Oh, here it is. All right. So we need to, did I already adopt the agenda? No, I didn't. I'm doing both. Okay. So the agenda is up. So if everyone can see that. If anyone has any objections, raise your hand. No. Okay. So no objections. We will adopt the agenda as is. And the meeting minutes from the August meeting minutes were sent out previously. August 19th meeting minutes. If anyone had any changes to those, let me know. Raise your hand. No objections. Those meeting minutes are adopted. And so let's see, what do we have next? I guess we'll just go right into the meeting, the committee business. And the first item is the chair's report. I have two things. I spoke with a few of you about this already, and I know there have been some questions about adding a public safety committee back into the board. And I don't know how many years ago it was, but we used to have a transportation and public safety committee. So that makes the most sense to bring that back. And so we'll be doing that moving forward. And I guess that will be probably starting with the October meeting. And we have a few items already that we're discussing, but I guess the question would also be for Corinne and her committee for housing, homelessness, and human rights. We talked about having 13th and 17th come to those meetings, but it would be great if they could come to both, but we'll definitely want to invite them to the Transportation and Public Safety Committee meeting. So I don't know what everyone's thoughts are to have them come to both, but I don't think it can hurt to invite them to both.
If we do that, someone from housing will have to go to that meeting, since it's our opportunity to get directly in front of them.
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah, and maybe again, like we should invite them to both, and they don't have to have the same folks come to each. Maybe the NCOs could come to one, and whatever. So we did talk about. I know there have been a lot of issues around public safety lately. So I was talking to, again, thinking how we can translate or compile all the information from 311 crime stats from the 13th and 17th, maybe even reports from like DHS or the outreach teams, Breaking Ground, and the folks like that that are in our community, other traffic violation kind of, we have a lot of different places where kind of the conditions of public safety are coming from in our community, and the office, people calling into the office as well. But somehow it would be nice to have that public safety committee report on that once a month, or quarterly or something, but compile that information. I know it sounds daunting, but I feel like there's just 4 or 5 sources that they're not pulled together. So that was just my thought there. And then I know I mentioned before about spending street fair funds. We have well over $100,000 of street fair funds, and the office is looking into, I don't know if Cody, you have anything additional to report, but paying for additional sanitation baskets or basket service, possibly paying for a DOE fund or an ACE person, and that's kind of cleanup, maintenance kind of issue as well, or maybe paying for 1 or 2 additional outreach people for 6 months or a year, for outreach for homelessness. So anyway, those are some ideas, and I'd like to, I don't know if anyone has thoughts on that, but I'd like to pursue that. And again, like that fund is just, the money is just sitting there. I know it's not burning a hole in our pocket, but there are some serious needs in our community now, and there are some ways we can spend that money.
So do we do it? Can I suggest now, or should I just shut up till
No,
later?
please. Yeah, please.
So, sorry, yes, raise my hand. We could use it for the nets for the basketball hoops.
We've already offered to do that. We've offered to do
I'm
that.
just making it clear, and also a ladder, which we will need to put the baskets up.
Mm-hmm.
Adam
Cody-
Hartke would like the floor.
Maybe Cody has some clarification before we.
Do you want me to speak to I've had 2 calls so far. I've reached out first to sanitation to get the data on how much those services cost for their additional basket service that they generally offer council members to use with their discretionary funding. That is really expensive. And so at Katie Loeb's suggestion, I reached out to ACE and Wildcat so far. I have a conversation coming up with the DOE fund. But yesterday I spoke to ACE and today I spoke to Wildcat. Both of Council Member Rivera is using both services this fiscal year. Councilmember Powers is using just ACE this year. And ACE was able to give me rough out some numbers for me that to hire 1 person to work an 8-hour shift. In a given 8-hour shift, they can do on average between 15 and 25 blocks of auxiliary sanitation services, including emptying the bins if they're overflowing, and then tying, they put it into a bag that they carry with them. They leave it at the curb for the next sanitation pickup, sweeping blocks. And during snow season, they would do some snow removal on curb cuts and things. So for 1 person, 8 hours a day for the year is roughly, and without them actually pricing it out and a contract going through, these are just estimates, is roughly $50,000 for the year.
That's
ACE? That was ACE. The thing that I liked about ACE so far in comparison, just anecdotally, is that ACE targets, they hire formerly homeless individuals, and they are not looking to hire people on a temporary basis, which is something that Wildcat does. They're looking to offer more a permanent position, so everyone they hire is guaranteed at least 35 hours a week. They offer subsidized health care, and they offer a 401k match in addition to paying the state minimum wage of $15 an hour. So so far that was really, just spoke to me personally Wildcat employs formerly incarcerated folks, so a different clientele.
That's how Doe Fund is as well, right? I think that's.
Yeah, I have a conversation coming up with them. So once I can hear from everyone, I'll kind of compile them into a spreadsheet and I can send that around.
Great, all
I
right.
can say I've had some experience with Doe Fund, and they were wonderful.
They're
really
good, yeah.
Wonderful. Yep.
Okay, let's take in order Adam and then Kavitha.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Cody. That was extremely informative. So just to clarify, so this would pay for basically a person to go around and do duties. So like this wouldn't pay for like the actual carting of trash, right? So they would bag and do sort of stuff that they wouldn't be able to like take it away, right?
Yeah, ACE doesn't cart the trash away. They carry with them additional bags and equipment to clean, and if they see something overflowing, they will dump the sanitation bin into their own bin, and then if their bin fills up, they just leave it adjacent to a sanitation bin, but at least it's closed and for the next available sanitation pickup, but they're not doing any carting of their own, no.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean that's still ultimately the big problem, right? It's like it's better that the trash cans aren't overflowing and stuff, but it's still a bag of trash that's going to sit on the curb for if on the weekends potentially like 3 days now.
I think they just increased the service back just in the last day or two. I saw them on Saturday or Sunday, the sanitation picking up trash, and then in the news today it said De Blasio brought back increased the service. Had too many complaints. He was getting heat, so he finally. So maybe that. Yeah.
I mean that's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, Kavitha, and then B and.
Yeah, just a quick question, and I'm not sure if I'm clear on how the funds can be used, but there's, and this is more of a Corinne question, but there's just is there anything we can do with further homeless outreach? Because I'm just walking up and down my neighborhood, and I was at Stuyvesant Square Park today, and I've seen so many people just really struggling. They may have a place to sleep at night, I'm not sure, but they're just out during the day, and it looks, I don't know, I feel like I wish I could do something to allay that, and knowing all this money sitting there, and I just.
My suggestion the other day, and I copied Corinne and Rich and a few people, was, and I know if it's a nonprofit like Breaking Ground and BRC, we can pay for an outreach person, right? We can donate money to that nonprofit and then specify that money needs to go to our district. And again, this is anecdotal, but a few people have said that Breaking Ground covers our area, but also like, Corinne, do you know the geography? It's like 50th to 14th to 50th,
It's
river to river.
Yeah.
23rd,
It's roughly that.
river to river.
Okay. And so a few people have said they really focus on the west side. So we're kind of not, there's a lot going on right now, right? So they're burdened and they're not. And again, I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't see them around. And so maybe if we can support them, and we do have these funds, or maybe it's a Doe Fund person cleaning the streets, and that helps too.
Well, Breaking Ground is coming to the panel on Monday. And I guess, Rich, do you remember how much the cost was for the Breaking Ground extra team that we had priced out?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? I don't remember either.
I have that somewhere too.
I know if it comes to homeless, it's stabilization beds is a big ask. So obviously not a spot at the 30th Street shelter. None of the almost nobody wants to go there.
17th Street doesn't have room. They sent someone to the Bronx and he didn't want to go.
Well, safe havens are screened,
Right.
they screen, so you can't just walk in.
I had hoped that this gentleman would have just gone and they would have taken him. There are other places in the city, but it didn't sound like they were very helpful. But
yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, a stabilization bed. I don't know how much they cost. I can ask at the panel on Monday, or I can just send Nick Urban an email and ask. Or, like I believe a lot of the stabilization beds are in churches and the Y and places like that. So we don't, but, so I will research it a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, sanitation, I mean, I love a clean street, so,
Yeah.
but.
Okay, thank you. Let's
yeah.
move. We have a lot of people with their hands raised. So B, Ossie and Rick, and then we'll move the agenda.
So I wanted to comment about three things. First of all, I think homeless is structural issues and bigger issues than just putting an outreach worker there. Unfortunately, I've worked with them as you have professionally in a lot of ways. If you can't give them a structure or a place to go, it really defeats the whole thing. I think if you walk in our neighborhood, the sanitation is unbelievably bad. And so I would look and recommend that we do that. I've worked with all three organizations. They each have a separate purpose. But my fundamental question to Cody is, how much do they pay the person that they actually hire? What is their cover costs and overhead? And I think it's important to know what these people get. Some of it is subsidized as a learning experience and stuff. So I kind of always need to know a little more of the information about what the individual will ultimately get versus the organization and other carrying charges. I don't think, and I'd have to have Rick, because he probably knows better than I don't think paying for anything from the city is really even permissible to do with this kind of money. So I just think we just need a little more detail, but I would support one of those organizations because I think it's an important function they serve, plus our streets are filthy.
Yeah.
When
Cody,
I
do you wanna
spoke
go
to
before?
ACE, they pay, as does Wildcat actually, the state minimum wage, which is $15 an hour for workers within the 5 boroughs. So that is what they get, the $15 an hour plus subsidized healthcare and some sort of employee match if they choose to put into an IRA. That was what ACE is offering, and they guarantee that all of their the people that they hire get full-time hours, at least 35 hours a week.
So
all right.
you have to subsidize healthcare. That's expensive. So that actually brings the 15 up.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was not our cost. Like if we paid them $50,000,
I'm just saying
that's
when you
all
look at-
inclusive of what they offer, the $15 an hour minimum wage and all of the other ancillary benefits.
Yeah, we can ask
So
for a
I think
breakout.
Molly, I'm going to say of the $50, what goes to the nonprofit, and I'm opposed to them getting some overhead. But what is the ultimate amount to the individual? And the minimum wage plus the cost of health insurance and even the matching, it brings it up more, to maybe half the $50 and the rest going to subsidize. I just think once you do it, you really need to know the cost structure.
Right. All right, thank you. Ossie and then Rick, and then we'll move the agenda.
Echo B's concern about, are we allowed to put money into some of those other projects? I do think this sounds like a great project, but one thing I would just be hesitant about is, this is street fair money, and I don't see us being able to replenish the street fair money next year because it most likely won't happen again. And we're going through a period of extreme difficulty for the next few years in the city. So there are going to be things that are going to come up that we will need. So I think we just need to make sure we budget ourselves if we plan to use these funds for community benefit and think through what it could be used over the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, Rick. Oh, you're on mute.
Ozzy basically had the same comment that I had. If it's $50,000, that's half of our accumulation approximately. And if they're asking for something that is a stabilized benefit that goes to an individual for a long term, we're gonna have to find out how long a term they expect, because we really would run out of that money faster than we would hope. And then, as Asia mentioned, there are other things that we could also spend our money on. I love the idea of providing a benefit to someone experiencing homelessness to do sanitation. I mean, that's like two winners in with $1. So, but I think there's some things we still need to look at.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move the agenda. Pam, do you have a quick comment?
It's very, very quick, and it's for Corinne for her meeting. Today I had a BID meeting, and it came up that it takes 236 meetings with a homeless person so they can convince them to come in. That's all.
Muzzy says that a lot. Yeah. All right.
That's for safe haven. That's for safe
right,
haven.
Safe haven, right. Muzzy says that. All right. So, and then I don't know how many people, I wasn't able to make the ACS call today, but the ACS call was this morning. I know Aussie was on it, Corinne, maybe Claude.
Didn't make it. Claude was on it.
I'll see if I can speak to it.
I know you have you sent a presentation to all of us. I haven't looked at it, but
I shared the presentation because just to make this update a little shorter for everybody, just quickly, they did a really nice job. And we've been asking them for data with regards to their total numbers of older youth that are there. So I just wanted you to take a note of some of the slides that address that. So they have about 875 kids out of their 2,500 a year that are over 14. And of that, the 18 plus are only 50 kids. So I think, you know, it gives us a better sense of the kids that we are hearing that are, that do have incidents in the streets, the 5 to 10 a year that we hear about. Of that, it's only 10 out of 875. So I would say that we should rest easy that doing a pretty good job with a majority of their kids. The second thing I would say, the programs that they have are really great and rich, and the board has helped connect them to people. Claude had a great program, and they're doing a lot of work around enriching their library, so they would love support on that. The kids are going back to school based on what the families had suggested, and the center is very comfortable. They have, you know, they have extra Chromebooks. They're able to take the kids who are doing hybrid learning. And then the one last bit I just wanted to mention is that as of June, they had a handful of COVID positive cases, but after that, they've not had another COVID case, which is great to hear. And they are doing significant amount of just checks because they're seeing a lot more allergies and suspicious symptoms, but they're still not getting any COVID cases despite that. So happy to talk further offline if anybody has any other questions.
Did they mention schooling?
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah,
and if they have to quarantine, they can do it on the 6th floor of the building.
Did they mention schooling? I don't know how.
What they're doing is that they are working with the kids' schools, because the families and the schools have already made decisions for the kids who are fully remote versus the ones who are hybrid, and they're able to accommodate whichever way they want to do. And actually, interestingly enough, this summer, the kids that were with them, they knew that they were concerned about the school slide. So they used DOE curriculum to keep kids up. So they did some curriculum work over the summer. I will be doing a longer report at the next Health and Education Committee meeting. So if somebody wants to come in and chime in and hear more, happy to do so.
Thank you. All right. Okay, and so that's my report. Jesus, District Manager's report.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. All right, so I'll try and be quick so we can move along. You may have seen in the Wednesday email, it's actually not in the Wednesday email today, but rather in the New York Times, quite different, that the mayor tomorrow is going to announce that the city has opened a pandemic response lab at the Alexandria Center for Life Science in order to help New York Health and Hospital locations to more quickly process the COVID-19 tests that they administer. You may have heard that there had been some very long, lengthy turnaround times for those tests. And so, as you all know, the Alexandria Center is in our district. One good thing about this is that this new lab is bringing 150 jobs to this district. So we've tweeted about it, so please retweet us. It would have gone in the Wednesday email today, but they told us not to say anything until tomorrow, and then the New York Times broke it, so we got scooped by the Times. Additionally, so you may have seen this actually did get into the Wednesday email. There is a new permanent shelter coming to our district. Now, this is not one of those temporary density reduction shelters that you've been hearing a lot in the news about. This is in fact just a proper meant to be there and stay there shelter. They let us know that they anticipate opening this shelter on East 40th Street near Lexington, at the site of the old Hotel Renwick. This will be a shelter for 174 family units. This will be for couples or, for example, folks that have adult children. So there will be no one under the age of 18 at this shelter. The day-to-day running of this shelter will be handled by a group called Core Services. And the target date for opening this is December 2020. This will be the 5th shelter that we have in this district. They have told us that the service provider will be reaching out to us in due time to talk about things like logistics and setting up a community advisory board. As you know, all the permanent shelters have community advisory boards. So Molly, one thing you'll want to do is, or if this happens for the next chair, whoever that may be, is start thinking about folks who will sit on that community advisory board for this new shelter. Again, for those who didn't see it in the Wednesday email, unfortunately, we heard that former public member Bill Huxley passed away. He was a public member of the Parks, Landmarks, and Cultural Affairs Committee for 15 years. He went off that committee on April 2018. And so if you know him or knew him, in the Wednesday email, you'll find the contact information for his family. You can send them a note. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's move into committee reports and agendas. 197A. Kavitha?
Yep. Let's see. Do I have the agenda up there? I don't even have it in front of me. We are going to.
It's coming up.
Here we go. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do start with our update on the Prom and Place website. We had a little bit of a delay. I think we're getting some additional help, possibly. I won't say it's Brian is looking at it to see if he can help us and get us up to speed before our next meeting. So at that point, once we're done with that, we feel like we're ready to start doing the outreach plan and see if we can do just whether it's by email or invitations to future meetings. We're going to kind of try to schedule some outreach, like just ongoing outreach to kind of get feedback from the community on the issues that are most important to them. We actually have a survey built, a MailChimp survey built into the website, so people can kind of put in their desires for that site and the community in general. So, we hope to go over that. And then what I'd like to do is just kind of go back to the 197A plan, since we've been so focused on MSBI for the last several months. We're going to go back and kind of vet out whatever open items require our attention next and prioritize. I mean, we had been talking about remapping of some streets, and we may look at that again in terms, especially of potential waterfront access. Those are kind of longer game items, I think, and really a lot of time and effort. And hopefully, we can get somewhere with those. But I'm also kind of reviewing the whole plan to see what else may be an item that we should focus on, and we'll review with the committee.
And Kavitha, did you ever get any information for the next MSBI meeting? I don't know.
The task force meeting?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, we had MSBI, we had Brad Korn at our last meeting, the 197A, and he, basically, and I had spoken to him before that, and it feels like they're in much of a holding pattern. He said that he thinks that the next meeting, I believe he said it would be likely in October.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep us, we're definitely on there and we'll be part of it. But given that their real estate and their financial teams are still kind of figuring out what to do, and they're trying to get past what they're thinking is this potential second wave of of COVID. And they're very fixed on that right now, all their attention's on that. So once they get beyond that into the fall, and he thought around October is when they're going to regroup on this. It gives us a little bit of a reprieve for getting our stuff kind of up and running. we were very clear that, you know, we're posting the information that we think is true based on what our knowledge to this point. And if he sees anything or if they see anything that they need us to update, you know, this is a way we have it kind of in public view now. I think it'll be a good way to get the information, because they don't want us posting stuff that, you know, has been changed. But that's, yeah, that's really all I have. And hopefully we'll hear from the task force soon as well.
All right, Claire for transportation.
Yes, hello everyone. We had a really long meeting last month, so I thought we would keep it short and sweet this month. Starting out with either having someone from the Regional Plan Association come to talk about their 5-borough bikeway plan. Hopefully we can get someone to come, but if not, just kind of like preliminarily talk about it as a committee. And then we had this, I think, on the agenda last week, but didn't really talk through it. Or it was new business, but talking about a red light camera at 7 Place and 54th Street. And so both of those things could be like possible resolutions if it comes to that. And then Colleen should be there, so she'll give us a report.
And I know Sandy in the past has given Colleen a list in advance, like Parks does as well. We should do that, because I feel like there are a lot of things like the, you know, protected bike lane or the temporary bike lane on 2nd Avenue that's non-existent, that's running people, no one's died yet, but it's very bad. And, you know, just updates on, I'm trying to think what else is in her purview. I mean, just the speeding and the red light running, like we just need more cameras. I was like, can we buy some of those with our street fair funds? But, you know, like we need to, oh, and there's a bill, I think maybe Brad Hoylman presented it today, called Furious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone remember what it stands for? Like Fast and Furious, it's very cute, but anyway, it's asking for the red light cameras or speeding cameras in school districts to be on the weekends and at night, because they're just on during school hours. So, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't just be on at all times. It seems ridiculous if they're up.
Sandy, request the floor.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, Sandy.
Just that Anne can help to get someone from the Regional Plan Association. Anne and I both tried to contact them, so we'll try and make sure they can come. I think without them, it's going to be a little difficult to discuss. So, but Anne's working on it.
Okay.
Rich request the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I understand that DOT has maxed out the number of school cameras they're permitted by the state legislature.
Yeah.
Do we know if there is legislation pending to increase that, and or do we have a position?
Oh, go ahead, Sandy.
Constantly ask for more cameras.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
But I wonder if that bill that Hoylman's trying to pass includes any of that, like an increase, you know, red light and speed cameras. I don't know. I just saw an article. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's out of control. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but out of control. All right. Anything else, Claire?
No, I think that, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Parks, Pam. You're on mute.
On our website, there is the presentation that was made by Parks about the new playground at St. Vartan's. And that sort of ad hoc group is going to indicate when they're going to meet separate from us. They will hone their questions, their suggestions, and their people down to 10 people who will then be the spokespeople, because our meeting, our Parks meeting, will be exclusively to address the issues of the redesign of the playground, because there's been a lot of hoopla about it. So, and Steve will be there with his design crew, and we can hash it out and hopefully be able to write a reso at the end of that. and we'll see how it goes. I have no way to predict ahead of time. The Department of Parks is going to do their, dog and pony show. If you have any questions about some of the parks in your area and you have questions about it, please send me your questions and so we can ask him. And that's it. And I have 2 questions, and I don't know if that comes at the end for old business or new business.
Does it relate to parks? Does it relate to your committee?
No.
Let's do it at old new business.
Okay,
Pam,
great.
Cool. All right.
Pam, I got a call from Ronnie today asking me some questions about the writing of that St. Barton resolution. So you may want to get back to them and see what their questions are.
I'll contact Ronnie.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pam. Budget, Rick Akers. Rick?
Yep, I got it. Takes me a while.
Sorry, I wasn't looking in.
Claire may think that her meeting was long. I'll match her. We went almost 3 hours on Monday, but we did get through the entire capital and expense budget requests. We'll be editing them. I'll get back to the committee chairs with anything that's in any way different than the way they submitted it. Just so we have your approval, and the committee will be doing the final vote at a short, like 30-minute meeting before full board in October. So we've got a month now to wrap this whole thing up. If you think that there's something that hasn't been communicated to the Budget and Governmental Affairs Committee about the budget, it's technically too late, but we'll see what we can do. If there's something important, we will try to get it in. There's some things that can be massaged. We've got some placeholders. I think there might be something, there's always something we can massage to make it work. And that's pretty much, that's it.
Didn't you say you were going to go line by line and then you went line by line?
I said I was not going to go line by line, and then I did. That's exactly right. But that's par for the course. It felt like the old days.
Rick could not help himself.
It's in my blood. What can I do? What
Rick,
can I do?
Rick, I was looking at the exchange you had with Brendan regarding the meeting that would have been held normally on Columbus Day. If it makes it easier for the committee, I mean, since Columbus Day is not a real holiday anyway, if you want, I can staff that meeting by myself, and that way you guys can meet on the night of Columbus Day like you normally would. And that may give you a little bit more breathing space than having to do it all right before full board, because that can be stressful for you guys, stressful for the office. You may want to consider that.
I will certainly do that. How far in advance do you need to have the information for when that's scheduled?
The sooner the better, but let's say, no less than a week.
A week from now?
A week from the date of Columbus Day. A week before.
Okay. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. I'll have a very good idea by then of whether we need more time than 30 minutes. But if I've got a time frame of 30 minutes, it's probably better for everybody because I'll actually do it in 30 minutes. Other than that, it's like anywhere from 25% to 100% more time. But
I'm just putting it on the table.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I would like to. I don't want to take the time of the committee members either. It's a holiday for those people who are working at jobs that still have those kind of things. So.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, so full board, my last full board. So that will be very sad and happy and mixed feelings, but.
Your last full board as chair, but not your last full board.
Well, no, yes, I should have clarified. Yes, last full board as chair. All right, Corinne for Housing, Homeless, Human Rights.
October will be easy breezy, and it will be just a lovely, lovely presentation on by Aaron Carr about the housing rights initiative regarding 421A fraud. And then, of course, Monday, and this was a heavy lift. Next week, Monday, don't please try to attend our panel. I'm very, I think the panelists are great. We have Breaking Ground. We have the supporting, the supportive housing network. We have the head policy and analyst. We have an actual impacted, unsheltered individual from Vocal called Felix. His name's Felix. And then we have Sheila from the Drug Policy Alliance, who has been at CB6 before. So I'm excited about that. I'm a little nervous about moderating it. So feel free to text me any hints while I'm doing while I'm doing that.
And then do we have the NYPD coming?
I actually wrote, I was very,
I know.
I was very, very conflicted about that because I was afraid about disinformation. And so I sent, and it was only today, and this was after speaking with Matt Roberts. I had a very long conversation with Matt Roberts to make sure that I have all the facts. And he was going to come back to me. But speaking to him, I thought that a great additional panelist would be the Midtown Community Court. Kind of talking about
they're terrific.
Yeah, they're great, and it would be like law and order, and kind of talking about petty larceny and any kind of solutions to that other than just throwing people on Rikers and then 3 days later they come out. They haven't gotten back to me, but maybe I'll have the office kind of hound them tomorrow because I would like to have that particular aspect. So instead of, to make a long story short, instead of the actual precincts, I thought Midtown Community Court would be a good alternative.
I hadn't heard of them. Okay, thanks. Yeah. The other, Corinne, I was going to ask you, you sent this list out to the, I think PS 116 and maybe PS 281 PTA folks for their concerns about the temporary shelters. And it was a really comprehensive list of the 4 shelters so far in our district and kind of who they're serving. And then you even included the CD5 temporary shelters, temporary hotels. And I thought it was really a nice document. And we should have that at least internally for, I mean, I don't mind sharing it publicly, but I don't know how we all feel about this, but to have all the permanent shelters and just kind of a little synopsis like you have here for the 30th Street, the women's shelter and 44th Street. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, the 17th Safe Haven, just have a list of all of the shelters, and we should have that. And we don't.
Yeah,
have
actually, that reminds me that I promised them a list of the permanent shelters.
Oh, you did.
Temporary shelters, and I haven't. I need to follow up on that because I asked the office, and I know everybody's been crazy.
Well, I think it would be. I mean, they were very nice about it. Like, this is really useful. Thank you. They were very upset about a lot of these issues, but then I think talking to you and seeing the list and a better understanding of what's happening, that alleviated some of their fears. And there's still issues and still concerns. I get it, but I think the more information we share, I don't know if we want this on our website or if we just want to have it in our pocket, at the office when someone requests it. It's really valuable. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that particular phone call was interesting because it how you end up swimming in this information and you don't realize a lot of people don't know it.
Right.
And so they were both just kind of eternally grateful, and that kind of informed a Monday for me as well.
Good. Rick?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful to have it in the office. I think the Department of Homeless Services would have a conniption if you put it on the website.
Yeah, it's just good
I
for us to
wouldn't, I
have.
wouldn't go so far as to make it generally public. If it's something to answer a request, as Corinne did with a particular school, I think that's part of our job.
Yep.
But to make it publicly available just to research, DHS would have just a fit.
Yeah.
So just want to bring that up.
Okay, good. All right. Corinne, is there anything else?
Nope.
Okay, next, exec, the 21st, land use and waterfront, Adam.
Hi all. So we have our current meeting coming up in a couple weeks. We have two presentations regarding things within Midtown East regarding transportation improvement projects, the Park Avenue shed, and I think, and there's another presentation about a large building being built. And we're hoping to get an update from the various entities regarding East Side Coastal Resiliency. Cody's put out some feelers regarding the heads of those respected agencies. Had a chance to listen into the CB3 presentation last week. They were saying how things were moving forward. The bulk of their updates are sort of their outreach plan and strategy, which is sort of coming closer to fruition this coming fall. So they'll provide that updates. And the biggest thing probably for us would be sort of when they plan to do construction on Astor Levy, because that's the sort of the first component within District 2, which is CB6 of that project. And so we would then ask them also about the various mitigation strategies and whatnot they plan to move forward with. And so Cody's put out the feelers. We'll get back more information on that shortly. Regarding the meeting in October, way far in advance. So for our committee, we're just going to place a permanent placeholder for East Side Coastal Resiliency, just sort of updates. Essentially, this could be from month to month. This could be them presenting a whole host of information and things of that nature, or it could be nothing's changed. The end, moved to agenda item number 2. And so we're just going to keep that as a permanent placeholder for the time being. And then we sort of have 2 other items, and it's sort of to piggyback on the waterfront as a whole. And so I know Molly's sort of been spearheading these various items and ways to sort of activate our waterfront space, specifically like the Con Ed Pier, and then sort of other sort of aspirational things like the NYU parking and the waterfront. The heliport as well. Yeah, all of it. And so basically this would be sort of more of a committee level discussion of sort of how can we sort of activate these things. Maybe we can form a task force, other sorts of stuff, but begin sort of to formulate as we go into the colder months the what we can sort of go forth in the spring as ESCR sort of move forward, but also too is we have the least amount of open space in New York. How can we sort of expand upon these assets? And sort of how can we be strategic about it, and what can we attain sort of now, or at least in the near term, and sort of what do we need to do to lay the groundwork for like a larger sort of aspirational plan. And so we'll sort of formulate that. We'll flesh that out within the coming month. And then the other part, so I had a discussion with Sandy, and this right now is just sort of a general sort of placeholder about mandatory inclusionary housing. And so I'm hoping that we can sort of frame the discussion of we are now 6 months into sort of the quote unquote new normal, and what does development look like in CB6 sort of in the immediate horizon, and also too how does that sort of impact mandatory inclusionary, and within the frame set of how does that impact mandatory inclusionary housing. So with those projects that are still moving ahead, that are still doing construction or whatnot, those will probably sort of continue, but will there be any sort of new projects sort of in the immediate new horizon? And so some of the ideas that were brought up is that maybe we can have DCP sort of present us sort of provide a presentation of where they envision things going within the district. We can probably ask some different groups or committee members as a whole sort of provide just an update on MIH, or just to do some research and get back to the committee. So again, we're going to sort of flesh that out, and we'll have more concrete things within the coming weeks.
Great, thank you. I was going to say, can we ask Jervon from EDC to come to the October meeting, or at least just someone follow up with her on the improvements at the heliport? They were supposed to do $1 million worth of improvements in the spring of this year, and I know COVID hit, so it may have nothing happened. But what's happening there? Maybe it's not a meeting. Maybe they just need to tell us.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I think that they were doing something just based on casual sort of passing by, but it would be great to see what they are doing. So yes, please include them.
Okay.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry, next, John Keller.
Yeah, hi. Lots of red here because there's a lot in flux. If you're following what's happening with our schools, you're aware of that. I've reached out to several people, and what I think is the best thing we can do is I can get a spokesperson from the DOE to come to our next meeting on the next week and talk about where school opening is. Now, our meeting's on the 22nd, and the schools are going to open on the 21st, but there has been, just considerable confusion on this, and it's been basically mangled. And I know this is streaming on YouTube, and anybody can listen to it, and I'll just say that it's really been mangled.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
it's not news.
What I would like to do on Tuesday is get someone from the DOE to come and be there, and to invite any parents who want to attend and speak about their experience. That's the very best I can do. I reached out to my usual suspects, and all of them are they're buried. I mean, they're spending 10 and 14 hours a day just trying to get schools open. And one person who's very well informed said to me today that they thought it's possible that the schools wouldn't even open on Monday. So that's how bad it is. But so what I would like to put on temporarily for the agenda on next week, very simply, is a spokesperson from the DOE to come and listen to what parents have to say. As to
and you had that already on the agenda, right? You had
right.
school.
Yeah, and that's for the September meeting, but it's gone downhill since
yes.
I ambitiously put that on. The health on the health side is.
Sorry,
sure.
relates. If would it be possible? Have we reached out to the CB6 schools, elementary schools, to see what their experience is, and if
that's the problem. You see, I reached out to the two people to whom the principals talk and to whom the people talk at those schools.
Superintendent?
Well, see, the superintendent, I don't want to put her through this on Tuesday. I happen to like her. And I think what we need is someone from Central, from FACE, Families and Community Engagement, to come and describe and take accountability for what Central has done here. And not put it on a superintendent who is just trying to make the best of a very, very bad situation. And that's my own personal. I just don't think it's fair to her to have her show up for this. I asked someone else who works in that office who's very senior to come, and they said, well, there'd be very little I could say that FACE wouldn't say. So that's.
I brought up our local schools because if we have a better understanding of their specific asks, we then can advocate for them more specifically.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do. I'd like to invite them on Tuesday actually to come and talk to us about that.
And we could invite like even a PTA, because again, Corinne and I we're all talking to them, like PS 116, PS 281, and then PS 59.
If we could do that on Tuesday, get any people from PAs who would be able to come. But this is so fluid. I can't. I mean, I just can't even describe it.
Jesus and Cody, can we talk about? Maybe they've already been invited. I don't know.
So just so we're clear,
we're not talking October.
For this coming meeting, for September, for this coming meeting, the DOE rep from FACE, is that someone that you want us to secure, or that will you secure?
No, I've already asked the superintendent of District 2 to secure me someone from FACE.
Okay. All right. So then we should reach out to PTAs. And then you will reach out to your network of parents as well for this coming September meeting.
For this coming meeting. And if the DOE doesn't send someone, that would be a very bad thing, as the saying goes. They have to send someone to answer these questions. And it's unfair to put the principals on the spot for this, because
we don't want that. They're too busy. I think that's not.
First of all, they're too busy. Secondly, they'd have to be criticizing their boss in public.
So maybe the PTA, and I have the PS 281 and PS 116 contacts. I don't know, Corinne, you might have, I mean, I have PS 40, but maybe like PS 40, who has PS 59?
I could get PS 59 without a problem. Yeah.
PTA, okay. So I can do that.
Molly,
Yeah.
Molly,
So,
at the last borough board meeting, didn't you have a presentation from from the Department of Education?
from Marisol.
Yes.
And wasn't it the superintendent of high schools?
Yeah, she was lovely, yeah.
But she was handling all of Manhattan.
Right.
Wouldn't she be able to answer those questions?
Well, that would be Marisol Rosales, who's the executive
That's who it was.
superintendent for all of Manhattan. And inviting her on this Tuesday, the day after school's open, that I'd rather say, that's a bullet I'd rather save rather than ask her to come.
So we could maybe get her presentation if anything, I can get that presentation.
That would be useful.
The borough board was supposed to send out the presentation. I don't know if you got it, Molly.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'll follow up.
You can follow up.
Tomorrow is borough board, so I'll ask.
Yeah, because that would be useful. We could go through that. And I know Marisol Rosales, and if I would like to have her come to one of our meetings, but I'd rather hold off on that.
Okay, so let's go
I
back
have
to
a copy of
October.
that. I have a copy of that, so it was sent out.
Great. Okay.
Will you send it to the office?
Former council member.
Okay, well, send it to the office and they can share it with the committee.
So a little more clarity on the health side. Actually, I had a very good conversations with Carlina Rivera's office, and they're very excited in October about doing something on the mental health aspects of COVID, because that is something that has not gotten. Councilmember Rivera has done, I think, one FaceTime live thing, but they're very interested in doing something on that and getting people in from the hospitals to talk about how this has affected families and the mental well-being of people.
So John, that's not on the agenda here.
No, that's new. That's
so we need to take some things off because this is way too many things.
Yeah, no, this is an old agenda. It's ridiculous to go to the construction authority on the work at Washington Irving when we're just basically trying to get kids healthily back into schools.
Yeah, they're sending their updates regularly. They're on it. I think that's moving forward.
Admissions at public middle and high schools, that is going to heat up as the year goes on and as we get closer to elections. But that would not, once again, that's not where the focus is right now in the schools. And then the discussion related to dyslexia and learning disabilities, that was something we had on the agenda for one of our earlier meetings, and we could get someone from the CECD2 who's doing that at a future date as well. I would, the High School of Art and Design, the principal is going to be up to his neck in just getting the school reopened. And, you know.
What was the item you said that Councilmember Rivera, COVID?
The one is
mental health and
the mental health impacts of COVID-19.
I'll be on that call. That's my issue.
It's an under-discussed issue. It's one with which I am personally very familiar.
Yep,
So John, the reason this list got so long is because, you know, sort of as things get pushed back, they sort of all back up. So since we're kind of clearing them out, some of these things that may sort of reemerge, we'll leave it to you to sort of tell us, hey, okay, let's put this back.
And I admit I neglected that this month. I've just been swamped with a bunch of things. But I think the COVID-19, and then once we see what happens as schools open, you know, we can figure out what to do in October, because right now it's so fluid. I just, you know, and people are so mad, you know, that it's very difficult to.
We can add to this. Good. Okay.
Okay. So, but the discussion on the mental health aspects of COVID will be good. We will do something on the schools reopening in October. I'll just give you, I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but one of my kids goes to Bronx Science. 80% of the kids are doing remote learning there. And Stuyvesant 75%, and the numbers are rising. So there's a whole question about whether this whole blended model is going to work at all. And anyway, that's enough for that. Okay.
All right. Okay, thanks, John. All right, Kyle? Prabhasa?
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I've been having computer issues today, so just let me know if I end up going out or you can't hear me or anything like that. So of course, agendas and formation for the October meeting. We've actually been seeing a lot of renewals and new applications, which has been very encouraging. So hopefully that trend continues, and hopefully that also means that they've been able to sort of weather this storm so far. Per my report back during full board in September, we're going to have a further discussion at the end of this month on indoor dining and extending outdoor dining. Obviously, the day off was when we heard that indoor dining had, the 25% and then 50% capacity by the end of the month. Obviously, a lot of, while this is good news, also at the same time, it's not the perfect scenario. There are still business owners who are very nervous about this, about even safety or hiring workers or even protecting workers and all of the stuff that comes with that. So hopefully by the end of, we're going to be having a conversation on it at the end of this month, and of course the October 31st deadline. So hopefully we have more information by then about what's going on. There's been a lot of discussion on our committee even before indoor dining was announced about extending outdoor dining and just kind of seeing if businesses have a way to do it safely and in cold weather, maybe they should have the ability to do so. So we're having a conversation at the end of this month and any follow-up at the end of October. Also at the end of this month, we're going to have, we're working on getting a presentation by DCRIM NY. And for those who are unfamiliar with that, that is a movement. It's an organization. The point of it is to support sex workers and particularly around destigmatizing, protecting, anti-trafficking, and decriminalizing it, of course, as well. So thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation about that, particularly during COVID. Those workers have not been protected. There have been a lot of issues about that just in general, even before COVID, about protection and, labor rights and things like that. So hopefully we get a presentation from them at the end of this month, and then any further discussion on it can happen in October as well. And Corinne and I have talked about this because obviously there's a lot of overlap with that particular issues. And then also there is pending legislation that was introduced last year, particularly around anti-trafficking, human rights, and things like that. So any follow-up probably be more detailed next month after we have a presentation. But that's what we have for now. Yeah, it's looking good.
That's great. Thanks, Kyle. Questions for Kyle? Okay, I have to back up to transportation. I had a addition to the agenda that I totally forgot about. I have a presentation that we've been talking about for a long time. It's a little weird because it's the underpass at 37th Street between the FDR and I guess the FDR, the East River and FDR.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And so we have a design, an idea to get people thinking about it, and it's New York City DOT, NISDOT, New York State DOT, and even Parks kind of touches on that property. So, but I think it is a transportation item initially. So they have some ideas that they'll come to present at the October meeting. And then Rich, you had one more item.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back on the street racing bill, the transportation bill. I looked at the bill. It does a few things, but the relevant thing here is that it allows DOT to install speed cameras over and above the 750 count limit if there is racing happening in the area and the community board votes in favor in advance.
There's racing in our community. I see it all the time. I'm right by the FDR and 2nd and 3rd Avenue. So, I mean, it's just, if the road is empty, they're, I don't know what they are, Maseratis or Lamborghinis or just like Hondas, but they're speeding really crazy fast. It's so scary.
Rich, if the community board votes in advance, meaning once there has been racing identified, or
yes,
or you mean preemptively?
No, racing has to be identified, and there has to be a public hearing held, and then the community board has to vote. So I don't think it'll be very effective
Oh, I see what you're
as
saying.
written.
Well, so that's Brad's bill, that's Furious?
Yeah.
Oh, I
It
thought
also does other things. It extends the hours.
Yeah, oh,
for
that's all I
speed
read is the
cameras.
headline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rick requests the floor.
Oh, Rick?
I'm sorry, I don't want to extend this too much, but Rich, is there a definition of what racing includes? Is it just speeding, or does it have to be like, or is it like two people decide?
No,
like one of those 50s movies.
In that section, it uses the words speed contests and races pursuant to section such and such, which must be defined elsewhere. And then it also adds a misdemeanor, specific misdemeanor for racing, which is defined in detail what racing is. A challenge coupled with a response in speed and relative position indicating acceptance. It's like,
oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
So
speeding is speeding, racing is racing.
Yeah, but see, that doesn't really take care of what we need in our district.
No.
No, we need the
speed cameras.
We need the cameras is what we really need. We need
Yeah.
more cameras. We need all the hours as much as
Sorry,
we can get.
didn't mean to turn it into one of my lengthy meetings.
no, I agree with you. I don't think the bill's good enough.
Okay,
Brian
yeah, I agree. I
requests the
agree.
floor.
Brian.
Yeah, same as everybody else. And if we put an agenda item on, we can draft up a resolution to support the bill with the condition that a lot of this bureaucracy is taken out of it.
Yep, good.
Can't you guys just put it on an agenda item to craft a resolution that would detail a better bill if you guys think this bill is so deficient, and then see if your elected officials will perhaps pass that instead or in addition to?
I mean, it's one way to go about it, but I think that the current bill, the intent of it is fine, and we just need to get these hearings and community board reviews out of it. I mean, we would move
Let's
past
ask Claire.
on our side of it, but across the city, this affects people, and it's not a purview of the community board, but I mean, it is kind of, it's our residents. If they travel anywhere in the city and they get run down in a community that, you know.
Claire, so if you were talking red light camera for Sutton Place, the October meeting, maybe we could, I don't know if, I can't remember. I guess your agenda is already quite large, but
Well, I think it's like
it could be a discussion but it kind of flows into that other issue. So maybe that.
yeah, I think that it's, I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
We can leave it
I
on
think
there and
that-
think about it. We can edit it if.
Yeah, I think that like a general discussion about speeding and what, we can ask for, maybe, I think that we don't have to specifically talk about Sutton Place and 54th Street.
Okay.
And if we kind of make it just more general or a joint kind of thing, talking about speeding and racing in general.
So we'll delete item 3 and 4 and make that one item in general about speeding.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like Sandy would like the floor.
Sandy?
The presentation is not from the NYC and New York State DOT.
Oh.
On the 37th.
Those are just the stakeholders.
Yeah, it's just a presentation.
From whom?
From a local architect.
We won't mention it. It's not relevant here.
Yeah.
It's just an idea from someone to kind of like get everyone thinking about what we can do there in that dark, scary underpass. Okay, all right. Sorry to digress. Thank you, everyone. All right, so Pam had old and new business, Pam, and I was hoping to keep it to an hour. We're 10 minutes over, so not too bad.
Okay, I have two questions. There was a time when we extended the exec meetings to include the vice chairs. Have we stopped doing that, or should?
No, they're always welcome to come. It's great if they come, but they don't count as quorum.
Right.
So they're always, please always invite Kevin, always.
Okay, but I mean, shouldn't we as a group invite our vice chairs.
Just include them on the invite?
Yeah, so that it's automatic.
I second Pam, even though we're not voting on anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any reason not to. I guess every committee has a vice chair. Yeah, and but they're not required to join. It doesn't count as quorum. Hopefully they join when you're unable to join, but.
The way we've been doing it is that any vice chair who wants to come is of course welcome to come. They already have the sign-in information, and when we see them, we can just easily promote them to be here with all of you. If you'd
but
like
they don't know about it, that they're in, that they
Well, it's
are.
always the third Wednesday at 6:30. There's not any.
Right.
It's
And we
not too
did spend a lot of money on a very nice website that has a meeting calendar that has all that information. So I hope that our vice chairs are frequently consulting that. I mean, if you guys want us to send automatically the info to them, we can. And just since you brought this up, Rich earlier mentioned that he wanted to be registered as here. So as Molly alluded to, the vice chairs are welcome, but they're not.
I'm not quorum. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So they're here as members of the public effectively.
Right. And my point is only that it should be automatic.
Yeah,
So
that might,
just,
oh, go ahead, B.
so why don't we just on the calendar say all vice chairs are invited if interested to attend and not get into all this level of details?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I agree.
That's what I do. I join a call and then, Jesus always promotes me and all of a sudden my picture is up on there. I just wanted to lurk and listen, and he promotes me.
Okay, I've got it.
And Kavisa, wait, one more thing on the vice chairs. Kavisa, she doesn't have a vice chair, so sorry. So we should talk about that because you have a good committee and to have that support is always good. So let's talk about that. Pam.
Okay, here's my next thing. Can somebody explain to me why this district has wound up with so many shelters? I don't understand historically.
We have much less than most. We have less than most. We have a lot less than most. So we can show you the map. I mean, even there are, what was your list, Corinne? There are 4 temporary shelters in our area. There are 11 in CV5.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a very little. I know that's why this information is so useful, because I think when people compare the Upper West Side and all the, brouhaha about that, they don't have, I don't know if it's all equal. I'm sure some have much more than others, but we don't have a larger majority. Go ahead.
And do we ever collect stuff to bring to the shelters for the people?
I'm sorry, say that again, Pam?
Do we ever collect stuff to be brought to the shelters for the people who live there?
Anne Seliger volunteered to be the point person for that. I've had very few people take me up on that. I guess when I did it myself, I reached out to my block, and everybody on my block knows me because they, anyway. So, but the short answer is no. When it comes to fair share, we're about smack in the middle. We don't have more shelter beds than any other district. We're actually about halfway there, which is, I mean, considering how bad it is out there, especially around Kibbs Bay and the public health district, it doesn't feel like that, but we're not the worst.
Cody, is that what were you going to offer anything?
Yeah, Corinne said what I was going to, and I was just pulling up the fair share analysis that backs up what she was saying. This comes from 2019, so this was pre-COVID, pre-temporary shelters, which you've already discussed. But we had 1.5%. The rightmost column is total shelter population housed in a community district, and the columns to the left of that is where that population comes from. So we had 1.5% of the city's shelter population housed when this analysis was run by City Council in 2019. As you can see, back then as well, CV5 just to our west had 4.3 for a point of comparison.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. All right, any other old or new business? Okay, hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Yay! Go have dinner or a glass of wine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lauren.
Good night.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Not long enough, not long enough.